then we have bullet points. One thing that I remember from school was that bullet points are a no-no in presentations. You should not use bullet points. You should use them. You should use other techniques of having, like, for example, icons or using just words, like simple words, and not having all the explanation written on the presentation. You are supposed to talk about that, and the presentation is just going to show it. And next we have, then we have other examples of what makes presentations bad. We have bad font choices. Either the font is too small, the font is too large, it's fancy, the colors are just bad, and then you have, again, the bullet points, and it's written in different lines, and it's also hard to read. And we have another example, which is very busy diagrams or very busy, what do you call it?
Too much work.
Too much work, yes. It's a lot to read, and your audience is not going to be able to see it. You won't be able to read it, and it's just going to be very confusing. What we have to do, we have to simplify all that and make it very simple. Then, how do we fix all those presentations? Well, I'm going to show you what we did for recreating those examples. We took some of those awful ones, like, do you remember the car and the introduction with the text and everything being funky? Let's see how it would look after. Oh, perfect. Let's see how it looked after fixing it. What are we doing here? Simply removing all that text, which you are going to be talking about anyway, and just having the title of your presentation, which in this case would be like introducing the motor car, and then having a graphic with it and making it more aesthetically pleasing. You use the colors from the car to stylize your whole presentation. Now, we have the bees and the flowers presentation, which was very ugly. How do we fix it? Voila. Just have, again, clean graphics, simple typography, it's easy to read, it's the message is given, and your audience should be more pleased with what they're looking at. Plus, you're supposed to be talking about, in this case, the explanation of the flowers and everything. Next, we have that design for social change and the bunny and the hot dog. And voila, we just get rid of all that. And remember what we mentioned about bullet points? We completely remove all those ones, and then we just use the keywords along with icons that describe the bullet points. Then you'll proceed to chat about them. And then remember that weird assets graphic that was under the bullet points next to the bunny? Well, why don't we create a new presentation slide with emphasizing that graphic, that graph? So we just talk about that, and then we have the graph as support.
Thank you, guys.
And last but not least, we have that awful diagram with all the craziness happening. We are going to simplify it by just having it in a much better way. I mean, then you're going to say that all the other things would be missing, but that's what you're supposed to be talking about. And then you can have, as a next supporting slide, you can have, how to describe it? Sorry, yeah, you have different visions or a different version of that diagram. So I show you two versions of the diagram, like how it was in before, and now you have it in a more organized way. So you can have everything, so you can pop, once the next slide goes to the next topic, you can talk about it. Then creating presentations with InDesign. InDesign CC, or Creative Cloud, it's a software that's meant for creating layouts. You use it for creating different things such as print materials or web materials, and in this case we can also create slides for presenting. However, InDesign is not going to be like PowerPoint or Google Slides, meaning that you would need to export your file as an easy format like PDF or publishing it online. Because if you take your InDesign file, let's say that you have a presentation in a school and you want to, then you take your InDesign file, it's much likely that the school over there, the computer might not have InDesign. And if they have it, probably the version is not going to be running. So you always need to have a backup plan, which is exporting your InDesign file as PDF or publishing it online or emailing the PDF to yourself because, again, InDesign is not meant for presentations and not everybody has it. And also, yeah, you have to keep in mind that if you want transitions or animations, you can do them in InDesign. However, they are going to be a little more technical. It's not something we're going to be covering today. However, we could mention it later on, or I could forward you more resources about the topic. But for now, we'll just we're going to focus on creating simple. Then tips to keep in mind, as earlier we chatted, we are going to keep it simple. The audience is going to see the slide, and then you're going to explain it. You are not supposed to read it, and you are not supposed to make it too distracting for the audience. You have to make it nice and organized. Then having your graphic assets ready, that means that before you start designing anything in InDesign, you have to have all your photographs or illustrations and typographies and what else is in it? I think it's mainly typographies and images, all ready, fixed, and cleaned up and organized in a nice folder in your computer, because you're going to be pulling that into InDesign to build your presentation. Then, as mentioned earlier, always export your presentation as PDF or publish online because of what we mentioned, that some computers might not have the software, and it'll make your life much easier, basically. And again, yeah, keeping your slides clean and organized so your audience is pleased with what they are seeing. Now we're going to do the live demo. Everybody's happy for that? I'm happy for that.
Does anybody have any questions before we move on to the next part?
No, all good. Awesome. So while we're doing the live demo, everybody who has questions or wants me to do something specifically, please let me know, and we'll do it together. Sure.
Yep.
Okay, so good. Hey, so here is my computer. So right now I'm just going to open this file, which is the source files of those presentations that we saw earlier. Just as a note, these slides, this source file will be sent to you, so you can play with it on your own. It has all the colors and all the typographies and graphics that you could use, and you can play along with them. Awesome. Just gonna get out of there. So let's start with what happened, introducing the interface. So when you start InDesign, most times it's going to give you this pop-up window, and you're going to start by creating a new document. So you go over here and create new document, or go to File, New Document. Then for presentations, they have a specific size, and InDesign has created these automatic templates, so you don't have to worry about the size. However, if you want to be more precise, you can always check what's the resolution. I think for those presentations, we used it 1024 by 368, which is wide screen, so it's easier for it to look nicer. So it's more spacious than the standard. The standard is 800 by 600, which by now it's a very small size. So I would recommend to use a much larger sizing, either 1024, 102040, or even the largest one. For this case, we'll just keep it standard, and we'll go for 1024 by 768. Then you have all these other settings. You don't really have to worry about them right now, since we're creating presentations. So you only have to focus that everything is in pixels. Your orientation is landscape. Then you add the amount of pages you want to work for, And then these ones, you can ignore them. This is more for printing and margins. You can always stylize it. You can go for whatever you like, whatever you prefer. So we'll go for the whatever it was showing, which was 36. Columns, it's again other stuff that you could play on your own. And we'll hit create. So we have the blank page over here. Then you have your tools on the left, and then you have your colors on the right. Sometimes when you are starting InDesign, it's going to give you a default workspace, which is this one called Essentials over here. And it looks more something like this. You can always customize it by using the window option on the top, and then you add the whatever you prefer for working. So far, it feels overwhelming, but trust me, once you start working on it on your own, you start creating your own set of tools and organizing the interface however way you are more comfortable with. What I use is the typography, which it just has all the text options available as quick options, and as well, and then also the colors as well. So what should we do? Which slide would you want to recreate? We have the designs for social change. We have the weird assets. We have all these other ones. Which one would you like to do?
I like the car.
The car? Perfect. Let's start with the car. So we have our presentation here. And right now, we're going to start by creating a background color. So, quick thing to mention. You also need to, you could also use Illustrator or Photoshop to open your source files, your graphic assets for important certain specific things into InDesign. For example, we need this red color, right? And we need, when we go to the swatches option over here and then we want to search for that color, we would need to add it. So you'll go onto the menu over here, then you'll select new color swatch, and then you'll need to know that code and all this. So you're going to quickly go to your Illustrator file, which is where the original image is host. So you're going to use your eyedrop tool to find the red that we used, and now you're going to see over here that you have those codes that you want to input in InDesign for sampling that color. So we're going to use this hex code over here. We're going to copy and paste, then we'll go back to InDesign, and then we're going to write down the hex code under this option here. Then we're going to click on OK. Now you have all those, you have your red color over here. You can always, InDesign gives you a default of colors, but you can always get rid of them. I prefer to get rid of them because they make everything much neater and organized. So now we're going to go on to the tool over here, the rectangle tool, or the shortcut is key M. And then we're going to draw the rectangle. Then we switch to the selection tool or shortcut key V, and we're going to distort the rectangle, and we're going to place it right onto the edges of the page so it fits nicely. And now we're going to change the color to that red we created earlier. Perfect. So far, everybody's okay? If I'm speaking too fast, please let me know so I can slow it down. Or if you have questions, always please let me know. So next, what do we have in there? We have the car, right? So we're going to use our rectangle frame tool or short key F. And we're going to place it here. Then we're going to place, this is, are you guys familiarized with the masks in Photoshop? You know how masks work in Photoshop, that whatever is inside the mask is going to be shown, and whatever gets out of the mask is not going to be displayed?
Yes, sir. Yeah, I'm currently working on masking in Photoshop at Y angle.
Okay, that's good. Basically, the frame tools work the same way as masks in Photoshop. They're going to be masking things away, and they're going whatever is inside the X thingy is going to be shown, and and whatever is out is going to be hidden. So now that we've placed our frame tool, we're going to place the car image, which is an Illustrator file or a vector file. We go into File, Place, or shortcut Command D. On Microsoft is Control D, sorry. And then we'll search for that car, which is on our graphicassets.ai file. We're going to make sure that the Show Import Options is unchecked. Sometimes, or most, the default is to be unchecked, so we're going to make sure it is selected. Then we'll click on Open, and then it's going to give you the different pages where all your graphics are. So we're going to go for the car option. We click OK, and then we have the car. So now it's all, as mentioned earlier, this is how masks work in Photoshop. Whatever's inside is showing, and whatever is not is not. So what we have to do is we're going to start making it small. How does that work? There are two selection arrows. We have the black selection arrow, and we have the white direct selection arrow. The black one is going to alter the box or mask in InDesign, and that white one is going to alter whatever is inside that frame box, which is the car that we want to fix. So if we want to make that car smaller, we would need to select the direction tool, so it's editing the car. We are going to shrink by holding one of the corners and always making sure you're pressing your Shift key so it's not distorting. I'll show you in comparison. So this is without selecting the Shift key, and this is while holding the Shift key. It stays proportionate. It doesn't get distorted. Another quick option to make sure the car is within the edges of the frame box is by placing, let me remember what's that. It's funny because I don't remember what's where that option is, but I know the direct shortcut, which is Command Option Shift E. Command Option Shift E is going to place it right away into the frame box. I'll show you again. So let's say it's like that. So you want to make sure all the car fits perfectly without going like this and then distorting it. You simply select the frame tool, and then you press Command Option Shift E, E as elephant. And there you go. It's right into the frame. So it saves you all the working and making sure it's proportionate. Another thing to mention is this wheel tool over here. You're going to notice it. This wheel tool is magic because it saves you from switching your selection tools going back and forward. So if you click on once you hover, it turns into a hand. Once you click on the wheel, it's going to automatically select the direct selection tool, so you can edit the graphic inside the frame box directly without going to here and then selecting the direct selection tool or having to press the key E to change it. So that new feature for InDesign is really very useful. So now that we have our car, we're going to place it on the center. Another thing that you're going to mention when you're going to see when you're working in InDesign is these magic rulers that are appearing. I don't know if you can see these magenta rulers. They are magnetic rulers, magnetic guides. So it's going to make your life easier for arranging things perfectly in the center. So in the center of the layout. So another thing to arrange things perfectly is over here. If you go into aligning, your align to page is going to align it right where you want. They could say we want it to align it to the middle, right? So you go like this, and then you go like that. But with this case, we want it to be on the side. Now, next thing is to insert the text. we're going to go into the text tool, or direct tool is T. We are going to create the text, and then we're going to write the text we want. Introducing motor car, and then it had a thing, a copyright thing, which is on your glyphs here. There you go. Now we're going to make sure that text looks better. So we're going to go into your character tool over here. Then we're going to select the typography. I think we use Museu. All these typographies are going to be sent to you, so you'll be able to play with them. So we have Museum, and then we have, we can check the text later. We're going to change the color. You go into your swatches panel again, and then make sure you're selecting the T icon over here. If you keep it on the box here, it's going to color the box. I'll show you. This is what's going to happen. So we don't want that. So we want to change the color of the text. So we go into the T over here, and then we select the color. Now we're going to go back to our character panel and make sure we make text bigger. And then let's see the example again. We want all caps in here, and then this is larger, and it's bold italic. So let's go back. So this is much smaller. Then it's all caps, which you can find it in the option menu over here. And then this is much larger. And then it's bold italic. Then we have that copyright sign, which is much smaller, and superscript. So you're going to select it, go to the menu over here, and then select superscript. And there you go. Now we also have the space in between the two words. It's kind of a little much tighter than what the default is. So we're going to select the text, and then we're going to, you see the option over here. It's called leading. I think it's called leading. Hopefully it is, and not my. Hopefully my college teachers won't kill me. So it's leading. I hope it is. So we're going to make it larger or smaller depending on how we want it. Now we deselect by clicking outside of our artwork, and now we're going to go back to the direct selection tool. Sorry, not the regular selection tool, the black arrow. And then we double click on the corner of the box, so it automatically makes the box around the text fit. Now we got the text. We're going to organize it in the middle. And then we have these black boxes. So let's recreate that by creating a rectangle again, by quickly drawing a rectangle. Then we're going to change the color. Let's say we want a color coming from the window over here. So we're going to jump quickly to our Illustrator file, and then we're going to grab our eyedropper tool, go near that frame, and then we have that code that we need. We copy, and then we go back to InDesign. Then we create a new color swatch, and then we switch to make sure you're working on RGB. CMYK is for printing. We're not doing any print work, and these are all mostly for print stuff, so we're not going to be bothered. However, since we're displaying these presentations on screen, we're making sure the color mode is RGB. Now we go into the box over here, and then we paste our hex code. We click OK, and then we should have that new color. We move it a little bit, and then we're going to move this, arrange, right-click, arrange, bring to front. And then we're going to have it there. Then we're going to have these again arranged to front. And now we have that, we have lower opacity. So we're going to go into the effects option on the right. Then we're going to change this to multiply. This is very similar to the effects tool from Photoshop and Illustrator. It works the same way. So if you're familiarized with that tool, you'll find it very convenient. So you change the mode to multiply, and then you change the opacity to pressure 70. Now we go back to our model, and then we have a second box overlaid. So we're going to select the rectangle, and there is a trick. You can simply copy, Command-C, copy, and then Command-V, paste. Or another thing you can do is click on your box, hold your Alt key, and then drag. And you're going to create an exact copy of that box without the Command-C, Command-V option. So that'll save you, again, some time. What does multiply do? Multiply is a color mode that makes the, how to describe it? It blends the color, the original color of the box with the color on the background. Let's say if I change it to another mode, you're going to see differences. Like in this case, it makes it lighter, or if you go to overlay, it's another shade of color. Then soft light, again, it changes the colors depending on whatever option you want. All these, it goes from darker to lighter. So these these three, I think they make the color much darker. Oh, it doesn't. Never mind. That one makes it darker, and then this one makes it lighter. So it's up to you to play and find which color suits or what color changes you'd like to play with. And usually, let's say you're creating a shadow, you would use the multiply tool, so it's darker. It's a nice dark. I'll show you in comparison with the multiply versus normal. So this is multiply, and then this is normal. Can you see the difference? It's
more white.
It's wider. So this gives you like it's like brushing color on another color with acrylic. I hope that's an easy reference to describe it. This is basically putting a color on top of, or having like a acetate sheet on top of the color, and then you color that acetate sheet with Sharpie and something like that. Hopefully, I'm trying to explain how the thing works in an easy way. So let's go back to what we were creating. We were creating that. Hopefully, that answers the question, Leon. Thanks for asking. Now what we have over here, we have that box, new box, right on the edge of the car. So we go like this, we make it much smaller, like that, or close to that. Oh, it goes all the way in between the introducing, and then probably lighter opacity. Then we create that little thingy over here, which goes from the edge of the wheel all the way here. So we grab our latest rectangle, and again, Command-C, Command-V, or click, select, hold your Alt key, and click and drag, and then you'll create an exact copy of the rectangle you previously drawn. So we're going to go all the way to the edge. You can always zoom in by pressing the Alt key and scrolling upward or downward, depending on how you have your settings on your computer. And there we go. We press the W key, which is going to give you a preview of how your slide looks. If you want to arrange it, make sure you select all these guys, and then you deselect your background image by holding your Shift key, then click on the background image, and that deselects and keeps only the first things on top selected, and then you drag, and then you want to arrange to the center. Why is it not arranging the center? Where's my, there. And that's it. So other things to consider, I think that's pretty much how would you create a quick slide. And then we're going to export. Let's say that you want to have this presentation. You finish your presentation and it's ready to go. You can either publish online or export as PDF. We'll do two options for you to compare. we're going to go first for File, Export, or the quick shortcut is Command E. Then you save it as example or whatever your presentation is, and then you save it. Oh, I forgot to mention. You would like to choose the format print since you have a very basic presentation, making sure your PDF option is print. You can do the interactive if you are planning to have all those fancy transitions, but again, that's not going to be covered today, so we're going to make sure everything is simple by selecting the Adobe PDF print option. Then you have EPS and JPEG and PNG. I would recommend exporting as PNG as well, just in case, because sometimes your PDF might not be read by the computer you're hosting your presentation, but most times PDF should be ready to go. So we name it example, we save, and then we have all these extra tools. We won't go into much detail about it, just make sure the pages are all selected, and then you go into spreads. The difference is a spread is when you have two pages together, and pages is just one. So in this case, we don't have any, so it doesn't really matter. You can select pages. And then we don't have to worry about all these. These are more for printing stuff. As mentioned, InDesign was aimed for creating print layouts, so it has a lot of technical stuff for printing. So we don't have to worry about that, but only staying on the general option. So we select pages, all, and then we'll go into export. Now we go back to our window, and then we have the PDF file over here. And there we go. So now that is the PDF option. Now we'll do the publish online. Publish online, you have the key over here, or also on file, publish online. And it's quite a magical tool. I just discovered it recently. And what it does, it creates the PDF, your presentation into a URL, so you can share that URL instead of sending a PDF file or sending all the JPEGs or however you export it. This way, you can just simply click on the general option, title your car presentation. And it's basically the way this window works, this pop-up window is very similar to the PDF window exporting. You just select a name, then if you want to describe a short description, like presentation about cars. And then you make sure again that all your slides are selected, and then it's going to talk to you about the single and spread again. We're going to select single. Let's say that you have two pages, you would select the spread. And then you have the option to allow your viewers to download it or not, depending on how you feel about sharing it. And then hide the share embed options. Well, you don't have to worry about that, so we won't bother. Let's say that we are allowing our users to download it. So we simply click on publish, and it should give you a URL very shortly. So you copy your URL, you go into your preferred browser. Preferred browser over here, and then you paste your URL, and you let it load, and there you go. You have it on an internet browser, so you want to have this URL, you email it to yourself, you email it to your teacher, to your teachers, students, classmates, so we can all share the presentation. And it has the tools over here, so you can always, if you press the keys downwards or upwards, it should work as a traditional presentation software. Awesome. We still have 10 minutes, so.
Do you guys have any questions? We're here. Stop sharing. Or was it too fast? If you're talking.
Maybe Edgar is just too good.
Am I? Oh, I hope so.
We also have a question for you guys. So Edgar did a live demo. If you guys like, we can share the source files with you, and we can check in next week this time, and he can give you feedback, so you can play around with it, and you can maybe have questions that time. Would you guys be open to that or be interested in that?
Would you like to create your own presentations, come up with something very basic? You don't have to go into full research and create a super complicated presentation. No, you can just create, again, I'll send you the source files so you can play with them and you can recreate the originals. Like, let's say I want you to recreate the B presentation, the B slide. If you can develop it, that would be great. And if you come up with your own slides, that would be also super nice to see what you come up with. And if you have questions on how to use certain tools or how to use certain effects or styles, we can always have a retroactive feedback session. How do you feel about that?
Radio, do you guys have a question from Brazil?
We still have one doubt. All these commands and shortcuts you used in Windows, are they very different, the same?
In Windows, they should be very similar to the ones from Mac. The only difference is that instead of saying the command, it should be control. And so the interface is the same compared to...
You're not sharing.
Oh, sorry.
And over here. Screen.
Share screen, desktop. The interface of the latest version of InDesign Creative Cloud, and I'm pretty sure that's the version that they're going to get. The latest version, the interface is very similar on both operating systems, both Mac and Microsoft. So there shouldn't be any differences but the command key. Instead of command, it should be the control key. Any more questions?
Okay, thank you.
No worries.
No, stop sharing it. There you go. You get used to it.
I hope so.
Any other questions?
Any other questions? All good. We still have like 7 minutes, so we can quickly recreate another slide if you're comfortable, if you'd like to see that too.
Yes.
Would you like to do that?
Oh, I don't think.
To somebody else. Yes. Yeah. They,
All right. So
do you want to create on the slide or?
let's create another one. Let's do a quick slide presentation again. So
Could you do the bullet one?
Yeah.
Sure.
When the icon image?
Definitely.
Which one?
Bullet one. Could you repeat that again, Matthew?
Yeah, like the bullet point one that you turned into icon images.
Oh, okay. Yeah, sure. Let's do that one. Oh, things. Sure. So let's go back to our document. So we created the car. So we're going to go into the pages over here, and we're going to create a new artboard or a new page by going all the way down here and create new page. And then it's going to give you a new blank space to work in. So let's see what we have for the design for social change slide. So we have a color background, then we have the text, we have a rectangle over here, we have your icons, which are in the graphic assets file, which is an Illustrator file. And then we have these things, and then we have these little circles that, let's say that you have a super short presentation and you want to feel fancy and you want to tell your audience that there is only a few slides to talk about. And then this is going to indicate the current slide. It's I think it's called a slider. So we go into the rectangle tool and we create again the rectangle to fit the page. Then we go into the swatches, and then we're going to add that color, which will jump quickly into that Illustrator file. We're going to find that color, which is this one over here. We go and copy our hex code on the swatches option, and then we'll jump back into InDesign. Then we'll go into new color swatch, and then paste that color hex code. Oh, it didn't work. It's not la la la. It's this one. Then we'll go again, paste it, and then press OK. Again, making sure you're selecting the RGB color. Now we have that text, which you're going to input on the type tool over here, short command T key, and it's design for photo change. We're going to change the color, going to the T over here, then changing to white, then we're gonna choose the typography, which I think it was also Museu, and make it much larger. Then I think this is bolder, and then this is bold too. Then this is, let's see what we have. It's italic. So we select 4, then we make it italic, then we make the text, the frame wrap around the text, and then we're going to put it right here. Then we create a rectangle tool, then we change that to white. Then we're going to input the icons, which is going back to your rectangle frame tool. Then you place by pressing Command D or going File, Place. You select your file, making sure Show Import Options is selected. Then you select your page where your icons are. You press OK. Then you press your wheel tool over here, and then you move around where your icon is. You have 2 colors. You are going to use the white one. Then we're going to enlarge. And then you can always make your frame much smaller. And then arrange it. And then since it's on the same page, we're just going to select Command C, Command V for copying, or click holding Alt key and then click and drag, and then you have an exact copy of your icon. Then you go back into your wheel tool, and then you move until you find your next icon, and then we'll do the same thing for the other one over here. Then quickly create the text, which we'll do only for one, which I don't really remember what was, new business model. And then we'll change the color, change the typography, which I think it was Barlow, and bold, all caps. Then this over here increases the kerning, the spaces shorter or larger depending on what style you want to go for. Then we'll go into the paragraph tool to align it to the center, justify to center, and then we'll just place below our icon. And then you can do the same thing for the other 2. And then you'll change the text eventually. We are finishing now the session. So if there are more questions, Tanya and I will be on email, and we'll be able to respond to any questions you have. We'll be sending you the source files as well for you to play. And
if you guys like to do a follow-up session just with Edgar, once you play with the source files and you have more questions, we can host one next week at the same time. So you can answer in the email. You don't have to answer right now. We'll be around for the next 5-10 minutes. If not, thanks for joining. We'll end it now because the last session went super long. And yeah, thanks for joining. And we'll have a brand new session next month on a different topic.
Awesome. Thank you, everybody.
Okay, appreciate it.
No problem.
No problem.
Yeah, thank you so much. Bye.
Bye.
Yes, questions or no? Yes.
No.
I Okay, I have problems with the audio, but finally, look, I want to introduce my students who are here very excited. They finally made it. The schedule is pretty complicated, as Miriam shared, because it is just the time when they are living in between staying at school or continue their studies with after school activities. So they are here. She's Fatima. She's Fatima. She's the one who's
Fatima.
leading. She's Fatima. Say hi, Fatima.
Hi.
So
You also got braces, yay!
so she, yeah, que también él tiene brackets. So she's leading the session, and they want to say hi to you. Acérquense a la cámara, niños. Digan hola.
Nice to meet you all. Mucho
Yeah,
gusto.
yeah. Nice to meet you too, and thank you for this time for them to introduce themselves.
Problem.
No problem.
They're taking it global for the first time, and they're so excited about getting to know you from different countries. So thank you so much.
No problem. Let's keep in touch and we'll chat later then.
Yeah.
Awesome. Nice to meet you all. Mucho gusto conocerlos a todos.
Sí, mucho gusto a todos. Muchas gracias.
Hasta luego. Hasta pronto.
Hasta luego. Adiós. Gracias.
Bye.
Adiós.
No hay problema.
En todo el mundo, niñas. ¿Y saben qué es lo